as I said, I'm Joe GRAF, and we're going to talk today about Infinity Blade 2, hacking the social graph. We're going to talk in really 3 phases. We're going to talk a little bit about the background of about the game, about myself, what we were trying to achieve, how we measured success for that, and then go into a little bit of technical detail on how we did the integration into the social graphs. All right, so I've been at Epic over 9 years now. Been in a ton of different roles: technical director, engine lead, gameplay lead on 2 different projects. And primarily, I've always been focused on online efforts at the company. And so right now, that's pretty much all I do all the time, is think about how we move forward in the engine, technology, and integration. Infinity Blade 2, some of you may have heard of it. It's a pretty successful game for us in the mobile space. The franchise has done quite well, more than 30 million in revenue. These stats are actually a little bit dated. The revenue numbers have been updated, but lots of really good scores, really well received. Now, ClashMobs is a feature that we added where we really wanted multiplayer in the game, but it's really a single-player game, and so how would we go about doing that? And so what we did is we came out with this concept of having large-scale challenges where people were really trying to do something, and it required lots and lots of people, like literally thousands of people, in order to complete. We also wanted to make sure that everyone who played in the challenge received some kind of a reward, and we really want that participation to matter. We also really want to encourage social play, and this is where we're going to talk about hacking on the social graph. This is where we added features in order to get friends to play more, getting extra rounds by liking it or posting and so on. And for Infinity Blade 2, all of our challenges are really much mini games. Now, that's not the extent of what we could do, but it's just what we chose to do for this iteration. The goals for it really were to increase our retention. One of the things, if we have a single-player game, once you consume the content, the game is kind of over. So we wanted to give people a reason to come back every day if we could. We also wanted to increase our reach, really get other people who are outside the game to see it, hear about it, and by doing so, hopefully increase our virality. And for those things where we were trying to extend our reach, we really wanted social interactions to matter, both in participation of the event and in reaching others. So one of the things we did was we added the retweeting of a ClashMob actually participates in it. So you see the Infinity Blade brand tweet out there, hey, retweet this to pick up 50 bags of gold. It actually does that. It actually helps the overall progress of the community. Same thing for liking a ClashMob post on our Facebook brand page. We want to really get people to do the social interactions in order to participate in the event. The other thing that's nice about that is your mom, who doesn't even own the game, can participate. And we also like to post your progress of what you did. So if you picked up 40 bags of gold, you know what? Brag about it. Post it on the actual ClashMob event, and it's like a living history of what people have done. So this is a screenshot from my game. You'll see up there is a My Mob, which is basically all my friends, and there's tiered bonuses for having large sets of friends that play the game. The ClashMob that we're going to look at is a gold event where you pick up gold bags. Really simple, not a technically hard type of gameplay. It's mostly just stab things that pop up on the screen, but it's really one of our more successful ones. At the end of it, once you've done it, it says, oh, you collected 16 bags. Apparently, it's a little bit harder than I said because I didn't do very well there, but I could like it, and that gives me 40 more bags. And then I retweeted it, gave me 40 more bags, and then commented on it. Again, 40 more bags of progress towards the overall goal. And here's what it looks like when I post the progress. He says, I picked up 30 bags. It's kind of a little bit of brag. You can edit the text if you want. So in terms of participation for the social features, liking was our most popular, pretty easy to do. 13% of our players use that feature. Commenting appears to be a lot more personal, a little bit more friction there. Wasn't quite as successful as we'd like. Maybe we aren't doing a good job of explaining the reward. Maybe it's just the fact that not everyone really wants to make a statement about what they did. Retweeting was at 7%, which was actually pretty good, considering the numbers that overall were signed up for Twitter. So one of the things that we were really keen to get is reach on Facebook. And the way we do this is all the ClashMob events are posted to our brand page. Now, when you do that, any post that goes on a brand page, whether or not it shows up in someone's feed, is determined by the Facebook EdgeRank algorithm. And they have a stat themselves that says that only 16% of brand page posts are actually seen by fans. So one of the things we were trying to do is make sure that anything we did really elevated up in the stats there. Now, the EdgeRank algorithm is based on 3 criteria. The affinity score, which is how interactive the fan has been with the page. So if they're very active and they respond to your page a lot, then they're more likely to see the content you post on your brand page. There's also a weighting algorithm based off the type of post or interaction that you're doing, whether it's a share, a comment, or a like, as to whether or not it appears in someone's feed. And then there's a time decay function so that really old content doesn't appear in someone's feed. Your feed is really full of hundreds of items every day, so they really do focus on filtering only the stuff that's relevant to you. So these ClashMob interactions that we have are specifically designed to increase our EdgeRank weighting. And we do that by the fact that you're not interacting as the Infinity Blade app, but you're actually interacting with the brand page, which means that the filters for don't show me all the posts by this type of app, that doesn't come into play at all. So one of the other ways that we measure this is what's called the Facebook Engagement Index. It's really basically the talking about, which if you have a brand page, you can see that up in the corner. It'll say, this many people, 10,000, are talking about your page. And what it really means is how many people who are fans of your page are engaged with it. And so the way you measure this, engagement with the page causes it to show up in the Edge algorithm higher. And so that's why the engagement increases the number of impressions that you get. So here's an example of the ClashMob. So before the 24th, was our trailing numbers from just our usual activity from our community managers doing their daily stuff, posting pictures and talking about the game. The second that we turned on ClashMob, our Facebook engagement index really went up. And having it be that high on a daily basis was really quite exciting for us. When you compare it to other brands across the internet, we were really quite successful. This is our 7-day trailing as of June 7th, as it says, and Jaguar is considered one of the top brand page management companies out there in terms of getting engagement from their fans. And just with turning on this one feature, we really outpaced them. So here's another chart. This is straight out of the Facebook analytics for anyone who's familiar with looking at the brand page. And you can see there our talking about 1,400% up. And you can see right where the launch is there right around the 23rd, it starts going up, and that trend stayed up from then on. And so we've basically maintained this consistent level of activity from our users and impressions that we're generating. And so here's a really key stat that I think tells us a story about our success for getting people outside of the game to see what we're doing. Right down there, 87% of the impressions, those are the interactions between likes, comments, all of those are really going to people who don't actually have the app installed. And I think that's really quite good for us, because basically we have an advertising stream that we aren't paying for. The same approach was taken to look at our effectiveness in Twitter. Like how, are these retweets helping? What does that look like? And over time, it has driven the clout score for Infinity Blade above Cliff Bleszinski, which he's not necessarily psyched by that, but the game has now made it more popular than him. And why that matters is that once you reach a certain threshold, your tweets stay out in the community with an average half-life of 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's where we are right now. And so any ClashMob tweet basically keeps recirculating through the community for days on end. The ClashMob has had a really good effect on our daily active users. I put some trend lines in there so that you could kind of get an idea of roughly how it's impacted it. So now we're going to talk about the process of how we do this and how the communication paths work in the game. We use HTTPS for everything for security reasons and try to keep things from being spoofed and replayed and stuff like that. We're going to first talk about the communication from the client to Facebook and Twitter and what that looks like. So when we participate in a ClashMob, we send down various pieces of information about it. The current amount of progress that's been made, the Facebook ID of the post that was made on the brand page, the Twitter ID, things like that. So when you go to actually like it from within the game, it's a really simple process of just posting a web request with the actual post ID. And the ID is delivered with the backend server. Now, one of the things we do is we use HTTP GET for all our interactions with Facebook, because even though it's a RESTful service, some of the verbs were not supported evenly. So what we do is we use the method equals whatever for the verb that we want whenever we want to do a post versus a delete or whatever, and always just use the GET method. Works like a champ. So here's an example of what the client sends up to Facebook in order to actually like a post from ClashMob. The first part of the ID there is the page and an underscore and then the unique comment that was posted out there. And that might be ClashMob X has started, go pick up 50 bags of gold and like this to add 50 more. One thing that we have to do is use the user's access token, and you do that so that you can uniquely identify that person. So when you do a like, you may only like it once. And this way you can be assured that you're not getting people double participating by liking something over and over again. Commenting is the exact same type of process. You're given the ID, you post with a little bit different URL. This is into the comments section. Again, you can see we use the method equals post, and then you just send whatever message that you're trying to post to the comments, URL encoded. Twitter retweet support is a little bit more complicated because you have to use full OAuth in order to send as the user. HTTPS is not necessary for Twitter because the OAuth process signs the payload and everything and is not going to be tampered with en route, and it's not going to come from an unknown source. But anyway, the process is still kind of the same. You do a post. It's again a very long ID, and we're saying, hey, we want JSON as a result. The server communication path is a little bit more difficult because now you're not actually a user. You're not a client that's been authorized and so on. And so in order to do that, what you have to do is go through a series of setup steps to be able to basically impersonate a user on behalf of from the server. So here's an example. This is straight out of my feed. I hadn't actually participated in this ClashMob, but one of the testers from the Gears of War 3 team had, and his progress in there caused it to percolate up in my feed. And it's an example of exactly how we get non-app owners to see the event. So in order to do the setup, you first have to have a Facebook app. That app is going to be the one that's authorized to do the posting on behalf of the user. You also have to have a brand page for the app that it's going to post to. It does not have to be the same brand page as the app that you've created, but it just has to be a brand page that you own and have the admin rights to. So you have to log in as the admin for that. The reason for that is you have to give the app permission to post as you. And pages are special because a page is like a user, except that it's managed by another user. And so to do that, you have to give the ability to publish your stream, read the stream, and manage pages. And the manage pages is key. Without that, the app cannot post on a brand page. And you want to request a token because that token is what you're actually going to store off and use inside the server code. And this is what an example response looks like. It'll be a really big, long string encoded for security's sake. So once you have that, you can start trying to post and read the results from the brand page. To do that, you need to find all the accounts that the authorized user has permissions for. When you do that, you can search through that list of accounts to get the brand page access token. And once you have that, then you can start posting, and you can start reading the likes and comments from that page. So here's an example of how we query the accounts for a particular user. What comes back is you can see a series of them. One there is the Infinity Blade app, and the other is the actual brand page that we have set up. We share a brand page across all Infinity Blade versions right now, and that shared page is what we're posting to. In there, the two key pieces that you need are the ID and then the access token, because the access token is what identifies the user as being authentic. From there, you can just post straight to the page using the page ID that we pulled out from the previous. We're posting straight to the feed as if it were a status message, and you use the access token to say I'm posting as the administrator of the page, and then whatever message you want to put out there. For us, all of ours are prefixed with ClashMob so that people know exactly what it is that we're doing. They also have some indication in there about how to advance the progress, like this, comment on this, in order to do so. And the results that you get back are just a simple ID. And that ID needs to be stored by the server so that it can be returned to the client. And again, it's the page ID underscore and then the unique status update ID. From there, you can now monitor the activity. And the way we do that is we have a cron job that runs every so often. I think it's like every minute is what we have it currently configured to. And it goes out there, reads the status on that, gets all the likes, gets all the comment counts, walks through the graph of that in order to find all the unique people and auto-enroll them in the ClashMob. So here's what an example JSON packet looks like when it comes back from a query on the particular ClashMob post. And as you can see, it says destroy 27,000. That's the goal that we want. I abbreviated some of the text in there so that it actually fits. So you don't see the like this in order to contribute. You can see down there that the likes come back as a list, and this is actually straight from it. There's my name. Chris Milkey is one of the producers at our company. He had participated, and in there you get both the counts data for the likes and for the comments. So here's what the Twitter integration looks like. The same kind of principle. We post it out there. You see it. You can see this particular one came straight from my feed. I had retweeted it. I retweeted it 13 hours after it had showed up. From there, you do the exact same process. You sign into an account that's going to send the tweets. You have to do that because when the next step is to create an application, and you have to do that as the owner of that account. Because what you want to do from there is give that application default permission in order to read and write from your Twitter feed. The very last step is to create an access token, and that gives the app the rights to impersonate that account. This is what the Twitter page looks like when you're doing this. You'll see your consumer key, your consumer secret, your access token secret. Those are the values that you use in order to post, as a particular Twitter account. All right, so let's tweet something out there. So all of the ClashMobs for Infinity Blade come from the Infinity Blade Twitter account. We do that so that we can read that all in there. And periodically what we do is the same process. It's about every minute we go and we read the retweet counts. Now we don't read the individual people that tweet from this because Twitter guarantees that the retweet counts are unique and we don't need to verify them ourselves. So here's what a post looks like. It's pretty straightforward. You do an update, you're doing an HTTP post, and everything has to be OAuth encoded, which is slightly different from URL encoded. It's a little bit extra set of encoding, but it's pretty straightforward to do. There's lots of examples out there on how to do the code. And what comes back is a really large JSON packet. It's the entire thing that they store on their side. This has been edited down because literally it's probably 60 or 70 more lines of information. But the important parts are the ID and then the retweet count. So from there, what we do is periodically, just call, hey, show me this ID, and that will return same exact JSON results that you saw previously, and you can then pull the retweet count out of there and apply whatever progress you want to do towards the overall ClashMob. All right, so in summary, what we've seen is that ClashMob really has helped our impressions and increase our player retention. One of the things that we like to note is that if you look at our DAU as a percentage of our lifetime installs, Infinity Blade 2 has about 1% more users at steady state than Infinity Blade 1 had, and those users correlate to the number of people who actually play ClashMobs every day. So we do know we're bringing people back. We've also, seen that the reach that we're getting on Facebook has been far more than just the users that we have that are liking our brand page. And we finally talked about, what is the technical details on how to integrate that into your game. It's, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's not terribly hard. Actually, all the work was in figuring out how to do this initially, because some of the stuff took a couple of emails with the Facebook devs to figure out the brand page manipulation problems. Any questions?
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.